like this bi-weekly or bi-monthly live stream that we have. What is the proper term? You are the native English speaker.
Well, but I think both are right, bi-weekly and bi-monthly.
They cannot be both right.
Why not?
I think bi-monthly is correct, but bi-monthly confuses people, and they think it's every 2 months,
Yeah.
which is not. It's bi-monthly means twice per month. So
okay, now you've got me confused. Now I'm not sure.
Yes,
You're putting
so
it out. I think bi-weekly means every 2 weeks.
I use bi-weekly too, also because it's that's what I understand. But it's
bi-monthly. Now, yeah, I don't know. Now you got me confused. I'm gonna double check.
We need to double check that. Anyway, in this every 2 weeks
out.
we have this live stream. You call it bi-weekly or bi-monthly, whatever suits the audience best. Okay, and I think we are becoming a little bit better and better in marketing this live stream. Yesterday, I had also the opportunity to send this newsletter that I normally send, also on a bi-weekly basis, because I cannot sustain that on a weekly basis. Too much work, too much. So today's topic, it's a topic that you chose, but I told you before that it's only 2 words, but they are very profound words, and it's a topic that goes very, very deep. Self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Are you self-disciplined, Maria?
Not always as much as I'd like to, but I try.
That's a very diplomatic answer.
Yeah, but I think you can't be always. I mean, there are some people that are very good at that, but I think it's there's a lot of distractions in this world now, and having to keep yourself focused all the time and not let yourself distracted, not let yourself get derailed on what you want to do can be challenging in today's world, especially with these little things, right?
Yes.
So I think it's harder probably now than it was at the time. I mean, it's definitely harder now, I find, when I started working. I think the world is throwing much more things at us right now, so self-discipline can be a challenge at some times.
It can be a challenge, and what makes me always, I mean, I see to people, it's people tend to be more disciplined towards other persons than towards themselves. It's more hard to do, for example, exercise alone every day than to go somewhere where there's going to be an instructor that's going to push you. So it comes somehow easier. But what I see, the big conversation, at least the last years, what I see, it's the conversation between motivation and self-discipline. But it goes beyond that, and I would like to comment that, because, okay, first of all comes the motivation. Follow your passion, so that you have also the motivation to do things happily and with energy. And that, even if your passion is, I don't know, surfing every day, if you do it every day, there's going to come a point that you're going to say no more surfing today, even if it's fun, even if you love it, even if you normally you're motivated. So you cannot rely on the feeling of motivation. And there is where discipline or self-discipline comes. So when you don't want to do something, but you
do it anyway.
Exactly. You do it anyway, regardless of your feelings, regardless if you feel like that, regardless you are there and you are consistent and you do those things.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
I was going to say, it's basically the capacity of staying focused and consistent, whatever happens around you, whether it's temptation, your motivation, your emotions, it's or challenges that life may throw at you. It's the capacity of staying on track, right? That's the self-discipline.
But I think it's a super simplified perspective, the self-discipline only. Because if you watch all these people that are doing all these very disciplinary things, like waking up very early in the morning and going for a run and do that every day, regardless how cold or how warm it is and all that stuff, if you see that, then you are going to see also something else there. It's something that they like to do. They like to do. So self-discipline by itself, it's not sustainable, in my opinion. So you have to also, there has to be a foundation of a foundation, excuse me, of liking what you want to do, and on that put also self-discipline. But you cannot rely also on self-discipline, because in some point you're going to give up.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure that what you're saying about they like, because I mean, I'm sure there's often people that, you know, when they started getting up at 5 a.m. or taking those ice baths or going running or starting a new sport, they didn't enjoy it. And you don't enjoy it for a moment. It takes a moment before you actually get to a point where you actually enjoy it. And some people never. So I think it depends also what, you know, your objective and the reward is at the end. If it's big enough, the motivation, right? That the incentive that you're going to get, that can help you keep you on track, right? If you know that what's coming at the end is worth it, I think that's also something that motivates you to actually do things that, you know, that you're not enjoying. And self-discipline doesn't mean that you're going to have to do something for the rest of your life. It might be just for a short period of time. Like if you're training for a marathon, you maybe just do it for that time, and then, you know.
Well, let me put it this way. What I reckoned in my life, and I saw it also, I experienced that personally, but I saw also a documentary on TV. So I saw a documentary on TV about problematic youths, young people with a variety of problems in the United States, that many of them, they send them or they subscribe them or their parents send them to some campuses that they followed, like a military kind of training, and they impose to them self-discipline. And the results out of this training and participation in this campus were amazing. So it really put them on track, and it really helped them in their life to become better persons and succeed. And probably not with everybody, but it was a tremendous success. So I think we need to have an open mind and see. I think with no discipline at all, with no self-discipline at all, nothing is going to work.
Nothing happens. No, I mean, nothing. It's easier to stay in front of TV watching Netflix than to go to work, right? But yes, you're not going to get the money to pay your bills, and then you're going to lose your apartment. You won't be able to look at Netflix. And
you know, comfort is also a drug that also requires, like every drug, you get used to that, and you want more comfort and more TV time, more Netflix time, more chips, more alcohol, more whatever. And the downwards path, it's unlimited. So there has to come a point where you have to put some restrictions to whatever drug you're using. It can be comfort, for example, and that's certainly, I mean, without that, it's a no-go. It's nothing's going to work. But I think it's not only self-discipline, but you need also to find a purpose in what you are doing, and a meaning, and like what you are doing. Because just to impose yourself in, you mentioned before, this ice baths in the morning.
I don't think anybody likes doing that. At least
I cannot imagine something harder than that. I mean, you have self-discipline from still to do that.
Yeah, but people do that for their health, right? Or because they're athletes, and you know, that's a great way to recover your muscles. So there's a purpose, it serves a bigger purpose, so they do it, even though they might not enjoy it.
Yes. But in what regards the working in a company, or becoming a better professional in what you are doing, is self-discipline something that is positive for you? and to which extent is that positive to you? Because I think it is positive to a certain extent, but I think also too much discipline also closes your mind and somehow limits you. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it means something different for each person, right? So we all give ourselves different objectives, but in leadership, self-discipline is really important because you are expected to lead by example. So you should be setting an example of what you want people to be doing. So you do that through self-discipline, right? It's about showing up every day, being consistent, showing integrity, showing all these values and qualities that you have as a leader, being true to your vision. And same whenever you're making a decision, having a conversation, you need to have self-discipline. You can't let your emotions take over if you're having a difficult conversation with someone or having to deal with conflict. And if you want to lead long-term goals for the company or for your people or yourself, you do need to have that discipline to actually focus on them and get them done. So it is really important in the leadership world, definitely, to have the self-discipline. Then, as I said, each person is different, and some people need more than others. And I think there's not like a rule, this is what everybody should do. It's you need to figure out what you need. What some people need more motivations than other. I think it's a very individual I don't know, choice. I don't know.
But do you think that somebody that is very self-disciplined in somehow, okay, you said he sets the example and he leads by example. In that way, he somehow indirectly expects from the others to be as disciplined as he is. Can he impose the discipline also to others?
No, I think it's about leading by example. It's not by imposing, right? It's about showing the behaviors you'd like to see in others. So the values and the behaviors that you think are the right ones for a leader. And it's about balancing that between being disciplined and being approachable. I think it's figuring that out also, because you can't just be like this. You have to be disciplined but approachable and open-minded. So finding that balance.
Where I think it's a big challenge is for somebody. I had a military service in Greece for 1 year, so we had there this the guy that was in the I don't know the name, the not the manager, the
sergeant,
the head of the sergeant, let's say, of the campus. He was a very tough, and he imposed discipline to everybody, which was something that benefited a lot of people that didn't have any discipline from their homes. So it was very good for them, but it's something that it cannot work in the normal life and in normal business. So you cannot impose.
Well, you're not expected to, right? I mean, the army. That's how the army works, and it works really well. I think the way the whole army functions in general functions well. That's the structure, and that's what you expect, that they're going to tell you what to do, and you don't have to worry about that. But when you go into the real world, you're expected to make those decisions yourself, and that's why you need to have self-discipline, because
that's more difficult. Yeah, exactly.
It's not. I'm your boss. I'm not your mom or your teacher, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to guide you and support you as your leader, but not to impose on you what you should be doing, right?
Yes, but what I see is, I see talented people and I see young people, because also in our agency a lot of salespeople come and go, and where I see a lot of problems is exactly on that. So you see talented people, talented salespersons that don't have, however, the self-discipline to be persistent, to follow up properly, because even what makes things even harder in our model of business is that we work from home. So everybody's in a different country, in a different continent. So it's after we close the meeting or after we close the camera, he's free to do whatever he wants. We are not even in an office. So the amount of self-discipline that is required in this new world is way more higher than it was like 30 years ago, where everybody was in an office.
Yeah.
Even I think Elon Musk, he made a comment now, and he said people are more productive when they work in a physical office, and that is something that I believe. I believe that, yes, that's a challenge, and that's a misadvantage that this kind of new model of working has.
I think
it doesn't have any benefits.
I think it's hard, in particular for young professionals who are entering the workforce, like in the middle of the pandemic or afterwards, having to work from home because they don't have this. They don't have the basics. They don't have the structure, the foundation of what's expected,
Yes.
and that's where the managers need to make extra effort to actually. There's
Yes.
more work that needs to be done to set expectations, to make sure they understand, to help them create that structure and those and whatever they need to put in place to discipline themselves. But obviously, when you're at home, and I know because working from home now, I see it. There's much more distraction, so you need to put things in place to avoid those distractions, and it is really hard. I'm sure it's definitely much harder now than it was. But I think there is something to be said about making sure. You were saying you have all these people who are coming in, and they're not as consistent, and it's I think that's where you need to make more efforts to make sure you're clear on what the expectations are, make sure that they know how to do these things and what they need to put in place, and give them some tips and tricks and coach them. I mean, I realize it's a lot of work, but I think that's what we need to do when we're working with people who are not physically beside us, and we can't, hold their hand and teach them, right?
But what I think, Maria, is that we see things from a different perspective because we are also not 20 anymore, unfortunately. And we experience everything that you say. Yeah. Yes, we experience that. But I think a person that was born like 20 years ago, he was born with this technology around him. So he doesn't know another world. We know how the world. Yeah. So what I was, I'm seeing also some this influence that this technology has with me. I was listening the other day. Sam Harris said that people tend not anymore to read books. So everything is through this scrolling and this short messaging. It creates the need and the urge to go very fast, and you don't have the will anymore to pick up like a real book and read it. I see people that are afraid to talk to people. They don't even have online meetings face to face through the camera. They prefer to write messages. So if you are at this degree of social fear, because you don't know no different, I find it very difficult to survive in the real world. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I think the real world is not the real world as we knew it, right? Like there's somewhere we need to acknowledge that they're living in a world that's very different to the world we grew up in. So, as much as we love it as it was, and we think it's much better, the reality is this is the world they're living in, and they have to.
That's a very good point, because what is the real world? Maybe yes, I feel often that I am wrong. I mean, I question myself.
I don't think there's,
and I question my belief.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong or right. I think it's just different perspectives, right? And we come with a perspective from a world where we didn't grow up with mobile phone and internet, and so books was the only way for us to actually, cinema and books to discover the world. Yes. Now the kids have. I mean, the kids are not kids anymore, but we have so much more access now to so much information and stuff that, we didn't even know
Yes,
existed at their age. And it's just, I think it's a bit overwhelming, and it's how do you triage through all this? And that's where self-discipline, typically for me, a big challenge of self-discipline, it's the phone. Like it's getting away from that phone and that distraction and the scrolling. And I'm not sure that the generation that's grown up with these things, tablets and phones, have that, or even wants that, want that self-discipline of getting away from. I don't know.
all these huge corporations are, I mean, they are putting whole teams there to be the experts on how to attract your attention. And well, this constant, I mean, it's the mind is constantly simulated, so I often, because I buy also these ebooks and I hear these books on my phone when I'm exercising. But from the other side, I also think this continuous stimulus. So, I mean, you need also sometimes where you don't have nothing.
Yeah.
You just have peace. Because it makes you also to think a little bit deeper and take better decisions. And so, more than ever, self-discipline is the topic of the new age.
Yeah. And so what do you do to be self-disciplined? Do you have any tips or tricks or things?
Yes. So my main advice and what helped me a lot, to control myself and to be more disciplined in my life, is the main thing that helped me was the realization of my observing mind. That is my minds, my thoughts, and my emotions. That is one thing. And there is a part of the mind behind that you can call it whatever you want, that observes those thoughts and and these emotions. Once you have this realization of the observing mind, then things can take place easier, because you are not anymore, you are more distant from this world. So a typical exercise for training your self-discipline is to postpone, there's a specific wording on that in English, but English is not my first language, and now it's not the right time of the day. Is the to postpone the pleasure, to postpone the urge to see this message, to open that email, to procrastinate purposely, and focus on what you are doing and say, okay, now I have this new message, I'm going to read this new email later, not now. And what helps you on that is this being conscious on what you are doing and dive deeper on your observing mind. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
I do. For me, it's I make it difficult to be distracted. So I'll put my phone in another room. I'll turn off all my notifications. I basically create habits and routines. So like that, I know that I'm doing this every day at this time. So it becomes a habit. I don't have to think about it. I don't get distracted or diverted to do anything else. The other thing that's helped me is if I don't have a deadline, I'm useless. So, I mean, I'm somebody who always, does everything at the last minute. If I don't have a deadline, something can take forever to do. So yes. I give myself deadlines, but I also give myself accountability partners. So I have somebody who's holding me accountable to do that, because in that case, I know if that's the case, I'm going to do it. As you said earlier on, if you're doing something for someone else, you're better at it. So I'm like that. I will, if I know I have somebody's expecting me to do something, it will get done. So those are a few little things that I do to avoid procrastination and just make sure that I stay focused on what I have. Because as you said, at home, going from working in an office for 22 years to working from home, I really struggled at the beginning to, get that, whether it's motivation, self-discipline, just going, at the beginning during the pandemic. So so I've put some little tricks in place to help.
But those little tricks that you are saying, yes, I agree with you that they help. But basically what you are doing is you are using external factors to stay on tracks.
Yeah.
To stay on track, but you don't need to use external factors like removing the temptations or putting being accountable to somebody else if you realize that you are in charge. Your observing mind is in charge, and not your emotions. And so
my observing mind is not strong enough, clearly.
You have to cultivate that. It's not easy. And I think it's also cultural. So me as Greek, Greeks are absolutely far away from the observing mind. It doesn't exist for them. It's only the mind that they see. So everything stays in the superficial level, and the answers, because if the perception, if you have the wrong perception of the problem, then the answer to this problem is also the wrong answer. And to give you an example on that, and that's also has to do a lot with self-discipline, but also it doesn't have to do, is the whole tendency of, I want to lose weight. Okay, what is the answer? The answer is eat less. If that was so simple, everybody would be thin and beautiful, but not everybody is. So it is a challenge. So the answer to the question, I want to lose weight, is way more complex than eat less. Well,
so what's the answer? So what do we do?
The answer is that you need to control these urges to eat more and to enjoy the wine and all these beautiful things that are in life. They exist, and in order to control them, you need to
control your observing mind.
Exactly. Be on your observing mind. Be conscious and understand that, okay, now I have this. My thoughts want that, but no, not me, really.
Yeah, it works with some things better than others, I'll say.
It's not easy, Maria. It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. Yeah. And the world that we live, it doesn't make things easier. So I think maybe if somebody lived 100 years ago, maybe life was, from that perspective, at least easier. No?
Easier,
yeah.
Okay.
Good. So very nice. Nice to be here in Barcelona. I think not all of our viewers are in such a nice place. So
it's nice everywhere in Europe right now.
It's everywhere in Europe nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, apart from Greece, I saw they had some flooding.
No, Greece is a disaster now because they have this superheat and now they have some super floods and they blame the climate change, and they might be right. I don't know. But it's let's hope this nice weather is going to continue somehow, but I hope some rain is going to come soon as well.
Yeah.
Very good. So thank you, Maria. Thank you for today's session. Thank you.
See you soon.
See you. Bye-bye.